Okay, so here's the continuation for the extended reading for James's problem, which was he was totally obsessed with his lover. Now, I gave an overarching reading already, a very short one that you would find in the Ask Rafah number 14 problem for that. So I won't go through it all in detail now, but in essence, he got the Ten of Swords, which is also a finality. It could be his marriage, or it's a bit dark, isn't it? There we are. And then the Sun. And basically, I felt that he'd gone from a very childhood place into this relationship, and really what he should have done was restrained himself, held himself in check, and very much so right now that's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to hold himself back, completely rein himself in, get his thoughts in order, get his heart actually in order, and examine his heart as well as to what he needs to do, and to ground the ideas of at what cost this affair will will cost him. The reading of the Rider-Waite definitely has ended in the fact that he's got the Devil card here, which is a card of obsessions as well. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can fix this camera a bit. Oh. All right. Okay. I'm really not liking this. Oh, that's fine. Okay, and then also the Nine of Swords. So you can see that he's really struggling, losing loads of sleep over it, worrying about it, thinking about it, getting obsessed about it to the point he doesn't even know what he wants, what he needs to do, and all that kind of stuff. I really recommend that he gets himself sorted out. He's definitely allowed his inner child or his youthfulness of his boyhood take over his adult self, which was portrayed in this card. All right, so I'm just going to pull two more cards from the same deck here, and let's see what the checkers, what other advice I could say. I mean, to me, the original card spread really did hone in very well, and has informed me already, or James as well. I mean, and anybody seeing, so when you go for these affairs, and you don't really think with your head or your heart, but you just think with your sexual pull, more often than not, unfortunately, it does result in a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and the ending of something, either the old self or the marriage itself or the relationship itself. You don't have to be married, but it could be for any relationship. All right, so just see if there's any other cards that want to pop out, otherwise I will choose one. Okay, yeah. This is a very interesting card to get. Okay, this card also is very clearly, the part of the obsession comes from the idea that you're looking for this perfection. Okay, there's no, I mean, I don't want to sort of say there's no such thing as a perfect relationship, but I think at the moment what you're doing is you're holding on to the ideal, sort of sweetness of the sexual chemistry you had with this woman. Now, the problem with that is if you hold on to that, that is actually going to cause a lot of problems, okay? And I find with this image, you are obsessed because you have now got your head thinking about, how much pleasure it gave you and what kind of sexual passionate pleasure it's given you, not realizing that it is actually a passing affair. All right, and like I did say in my other vlog, you have no idea whether she actually would be, you've not spoken about love. Love has not even come in your letter, so it's not even a question of love. This is all very much a very lustful, a very desirable, a very kind of, wanting the perfect thing, and it's unfortunately just not going to last. And like I said, I feel that she could also, the woman that you're having an affair with, she could easily go out and drop you for somebody a lot younger, if not immediately, certainly for down the line. So you really need to think about that and be aware of that. You've got to let go of this idea of perfection, or perfection. You want things to grow properly. Okay. Now that you know that you can actually have some sex that could be kind of exciting, maybe perhaps you can start thinking about rekindling it into your relationship. So let's see if there's another card that I want to pop out. And in some way as well, you've let the kind of the fantasy of your ideal sexual fantasy of this woman who's gorgeous and stuff. And, maybe we often sort of settle down with people who are not our perfect kind of fantasy. The truth is, we tend to sort of want to the better thing is to actually settle with somebody who's actually much more kind of on your level, where you've got certain values together, you've actually got some certainly some similarities, but not some kind of fantastic things from the facade, which I really feel that you've really gone for this woman. Interesting, the last card I felt also that came out of this is guilt. In my chakra thing, which I didn't mention, was actually the root chakra, but I think also definitely the root chakra, you've completely betrayed your home life and stuff, which is very root chakra stuff as well. But this is also here the guilt. So now you're going to be racked up with guilt as well. Okay, and you're going to be chained to the guilt. Okay, you're going to be thinking, and you might be even playing up and being, the over martyrish. So be careful that you don't actually start overdoing things within the home. Or making yourself available, more so, or whatever, because you're actually going to sort of certainly create a situation where you're going to stir up some feelings of question, certainly with your wife. Okay, I feel like if you're not careful, you are actually going to end up sort of wanting to be the Mr. Good guy, and be maybe over helpful and overextending, but that's all coming from a place of guilt. Now, it is natural for you to feel guilty, and you will be feeling guilty because you have breached, definitely, the marital vows and the agreement. Okay, and I reckon the guilt is your own emotions, but you will possibly have to communicate it. Okay, and there may be no way to get the right communication. I'm looking at this as well, and you can see that she's blowing out here. Okay, she is blowing. So you might need to actually speak your truth here and tell the truth, be able to blow out all that's being hidden. In order for you to not so much eradicate your guilt, okay, or you may want to actually do that because you feel guilty. I am getting the feeling that you are actually going to have to sort of tell her the truth. Okay, not to admit your guilt, but I just feel in some way that this would be something that you'd be carrying for a very long time, and it actually really exhausts you in the long term, and it can be. I don't feel that this relationship for you is going to be one that will be go from strength to strength, as in not your marital home relationship, but certainly you're the one that you're having the affair with. Okay, now of course this you wrote to me during the time of the lockdown, so I don't know what's going to happen post-lockdown, but I have a feeling that you might find yourself on your own if you're not very careful, in every way, literally a physical aloneness that you might find, and it's by the Ten of Swords, so there could be a thing that you might have lost everything, or you're going to actually find yourself, by not being honest about this, you're going to feel very on your own. All right, because when you actually hide that kind of detail within a relationship, you're definitely carving out a space of isolation. All right, and you're going to feel very much on your own. And even if you were to go to see a therapist and talk about it to the therapist, that is something the therapist is not going to even be able to help you with, because you're going to be faced with the truth with your partner, with your wife, and you're going to feel very alone for actually not being able to tell her that. Now, what's interesting, the card that actually popped out, there you go, is honesty. Okay, this is really dark today. Whoa, is that better? Okay, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize that can you see that? That's a bit lighter, isn't it? Anyway, this is a card of honesty, very much to do with your third eye chakra as well. But it says, I can't always expect truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. So this is it. You're going to actually end up feeling very lonely if you're not honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with what you want. What is it that you truly want? You might find that the affair doesn't actually work out, or, it's not something that you can it's not a long-lived thing, but you also might have actually lost your marriage as well. Okay, so you really have to think about the consequences of what's happening, and you have to also, more importantly, be really honest with what you want. Now, if you want the marriage and you really want to have that marriage. You need to be honest about it, and then start building yourself up and creating the right sort of union, rekindling it back with your wife with honesty as well, because that's all you will ever want. Because the fact is, if you're not honest with her, you'll never trust yourself again, and more importantly, you'll never trust anybody, and you certainly won't trust your wife either. People who tend to not trust other people is because they already don't feel trustworthy of themselves, or they have very low self-esteem issues. But this is what I'm getting from this. I'm going to do one more card because I decided I was going to do 3 from the Soul Journey. These are the Soul Journey cards from James Van Praagh. Okay, so this is very much a soul lesson for you, all right? Or anybody. Okay, this is really important. These are okay, this has happened to serve your growth. So I think on some level, and this is what I find sometimes really interesting about life, is sometimes we don't even know why we do something. We're just pulled to do something. Something pulls us in a direction that normally on a rationale we won't normally do it, but sometimes on a soul level there's something that we need to do, okay, because it could be a soul connection or a karmic connection. Now your third card for this particular question and problem for you, James, and anybody who's obsessed or has a thing for somebody else and knows they've crossed the threshold or trust line to do with a marriage or an existing relationship, this is an opportunity for you to grow now. Okay, you're going to have to be brave, you're going to have to grow, you're going to have to grow and expand your consciousness and actually really learn from this. And the lesson can be hard. Sometimes they can be very painful and can really invoke some heartbreak. Okay, but this is for you to grow now into the truth of who you need to be, for you to do what you need to do. Very much a solar plexus color as well here. Okay, so this is about you serving your growth, and you need to grow up and really start thinking about how you can actually grow from this this situation. You know, ask yourself, what is important for me? What is it that I value? Do my values meet in my marriage? Maybe you find that you've been married all this time and you haven't actually had a chance to actually really reassess. Okay, particularly if people have been married for a long time, you need to really reassess if you're going in the right direction together, still have your values still the same. Okay, but it's really important that you're honest about it to yourself and then to those around you. Okay, you do have the right to be happy, and everyone has the right to be happy, but not at the expense of others and hurting others, I'm afraid. Okay, so we'll do the surrender cards. Let's see what the surrender has to say. So this is for anybody or somebody who is in an obsessive love affair, who has faltered and had an affair. What would the card advice be from the surrender deck? Okay, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, I think in some way that you definitely procrastinate. I'm sure you are. Whether you should tell your wife or not, now is the time to actually for you to just go for it and make a decision to actually be honest. Okay, this is really important. This is something that you need to take action. Okay, you know, there's some steps here as well. You might find that it's actually a long way up, you know, or there might be many steps to healing, but you definitely need to actually be brave and take action in order to to bring whatever you deem as success back to yourself and your life. Okay, because this is definitely going to create some dark. I mean, if you look at these cards, all these cards in the first spread were very black and dark indeed. If you want to bring some light back, which you can see here right at the top, there's that light at the top. So this is something you're going to have to do to grow as well. I think in some way you've, you know, unconsciously created this situation because you know that you've had to come maybe from a depth of yourself that was hiding. Maybe there's a part of you that's been hiding and you need more in your life. This is only something that you can actually work out and decide for yourself. Okay, but there are some things that's going to push you out of your comfort zone, and one of it is to be honest. All right, you who used to live. Okay, all right. Okay, interesting. We also got a card here that flew out to surrender to passion. All right, it says get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people. To ignite your passion and let it flow. Okay, which is really interesting because of course this is to do with you having a passionate love affair. But again, I think what it's done is it's ignited your passion for sure, and you're really in your head about it. But maybe you really need to bring that into your belly into your body as well, and maybe see what activities it can bring that kind of desire. Perhaps that woman in your 60s has sort of rekindled something from your childhood that you wanted at the time. I mean, it was a physical crush that was never able to express itself when you're young, and you've taken on yourself to do so as an older person. But it could be as an alternative to some, maybe your family situation. I actually feel that it's to do with your marriage. You need to bring the passion back somehow, or definitely leave the relationship, your marriage, when I say behind, and pursue your passion. Just go for it, you know. But you do need to be honest with yourself, you know. And if you lose everything and everybody, at least you've, you know, been honest with yourself. The other thing which is interesting here is, I'm wondering if another other card that came out is to do with you being stubborn. Yeah, I think maybe this what card is communicating to me right now is sometimes when we actually feel quite anxious about certain things, we tend to get quite rigid and quite stubborn about our sense of parameters, our timing, can we take a rigid stance? Okay, just notice, just be careful that you're not actually acting out of, you know, character, if you like. And perhaps what you need to do is actually sort of be much more gentle in the circumstances that you might find yourself. Okay, you know, maybe be more loving with yourself as well. Maybe so stop berating yourself and being really kind of, you know, this also could be very similar to that, which is you kind of doing your own head in. All right, you know, you've made a mistake, or you've certainly pursued something, as you know, and you even said you don't know what got over you. And now you're actually being really stubborn about the fact about how you're going round and round in circles around what you've done. Okay, you know, you going round in circles for sure also will really keep you isolated and feel very lonely. Okay, you do need to connect to something higher than yourself, because this card really kind of is bringing up the sense that you're going round in yourself. Okay, at the bottom of the deck, which I thought was really quite interesting, I've decided to have a look, is obsessive thinking. Okay, so you really need to turn this over to the divine or to God. It says if you're obsessing about a person or a situation, turn the dilemma over to spirit. Okay, get your guidance system back. All right, which is also a bit of this. Okay, you need to reconnect with yourself so you can really feel your heart. You reconnect to your spirit through there, into your heart, and ground the whole thing into your body. All right, really important, because in doing so it will help you bring your clarity to even solve the problem. All right, I think sometimes, of course, the other thing is when we get obsessed about something or anybody or anything, even a job, a plan, we tend to also not see what's right in front of us. All right, and unable to see clearly because we're obstructed. All right, or the other thing is you're so geared about what you see, what you want, and you actually can't see anything beyond it. Okay, so that is all the tarot is saying to you. Interestingly, I would suggest that you actually maybe take up some passionate dancing up, maybe with your wife. You know, so do some dancing rather than taking into the bedroom first, and see if you can bring some passion back into your relationship, into your marriage. Yeah, some kind of really kind of like tango or something very sensual. Ballroom dancing can also be very much that, you know, while it's very structured, it's got a lot of passion, a lot of things, so you can actually start igniting that, maybe bring the fire out in each other, I really feel. Perhaps also release the stubbornness of doing anything outside of your marriage that way, which is what could also be creating that. I wonder also maybe that you have also been quite rigid in your marriage about lots of things as well, and perhaps has also sort of dismantled the passion. There's a lot here for you to explore, really, but one thing I will really say is don't procrastinate. Be honest with yourself. This is serving your growth and possibly the growth of your relationship with your marriage. I do feel that you have an opportunity to really rekindle it again, but you will need definitely to go inward, get in touch with your spirit, ask for the obsessive thinking to be removed. Definitely untangle yourself, because those two are very similar. And I don't think you're seeing that woman is going to do you any favors. I think she'll end up dropping you, or you'll get bored, it'll sizzle out. You know, yep. And see possibly what new possibilities and what happiness, and underneath the other card deck actually was happiness as well. So you do have a chance at recreating happiness somewhere, and you do have a right to be happy, but it will all depend on the path that you decide to take. So this one really is on you, James, and anybody. Sometimes, you know, the cards can give us some very general and good overview, but this is more of a constructive reading, which is telling me that it's going to serve your growth. You need to be honest, let go of the idea of perfection, you know, of anything. You know, right now you have a perfect sexual partner, but there's nothing perfect about the rest of it. You might not have the perfect sexual connection with your wife, but you might have many good things that are there, and you really need to seriously think about what's worth holding on to and what's worth letting go. All right, I wish you best. I hope this reading has helped you. Thanks very much for watching the extended version to James's question, which was, I am obsessed with my lover. Bye for now. Bye.